Good evening and welcome. So, these comments accompany week 10 or module 10 in our literacy course. It is a short week for us due to Good Friday and Easter. So, just a few things that we're going to look at this week as we conclude our study and look at vocabulary development in the classroom at the secondary level. So to review at this point, a few things that we've emphasized. First would be the concept of less is more, certainly with the number of words that you're choosing to have students engage in and try to remember long term. We looked at a process that the state of Wisconsin emphasizes to kind of go through systematically and decide which words meet a criteria that would be a part of a list that you would focus on long term in a move away from trying to throw words at kids week after week for a kind of a rote memorization piece and looking more at a core group of words that would be worked with and applied to a variety of things in order to foster long-term retention. We also looked at an instructional method that has been made famous by Marzano's lab and people, and that particular approach moves us away from the idea of writing out a sort of book definition or dictionary definition and looking at different ways to apply the meaning of the word and get kids in a situation where they're really sort of owning it, whether it's writing the meaning in their own words or a picture or some kind of visual to illustrate meaning, and putting students in a situation where they're internalizing that meaning, applying it to things. Probably a decent summation of the Marzano piece. So, a couple of things we want to look at as we round out this portion of the course would be the idea of looking at another aspect of almost what some have argued is a multiplier when it comes to vocabulary development, and that is the concept of root words. So, in this week's module, you have a list, not exhaustive, not to be meant to be anything advanced, but certainly a base document of a list of root words that can have some application and some generalization in an academic setting such as ours at the secondary level. So, root words, what are we talking about? A couple of quick examples. The best illustration I ever saw of this concept that really got my attention was in a professional development we did here in our school system. It's been at least 5, 6 years back, and we had an elementary literacy expert in the district working with our K through 2 teachers, and she shared the concept of multiplying a student's vocabulary development by teaching a root word. And she used the following example. She asked how many of us in the room had a mortgage or owed money to a bank on a house that we'd purchased through the bank. And of course, vast majority of the room raised their hand. And she asked who in the room knew the origins of the word mortgage. And of course, everybody sat there. She was a linguistics expert, so she knew and shared with us that the word mort has its foundations in Old French, of all things, and in French culture. As things progressed, this idea of a mortgage payment was known in French vernacular as a death payment or death tax, and the word mort is an Old French concept for death. So if you taught students what mort meant and how it applied to modern English language, you therefore went from students can learn a collection of words quickly if you understood the concept of mort, whether it's mortgage, mortuary, mortician, so on and so forth. Another word that I've heard used often is the root word astro, and it is on your list. And if you think about the meaning of astro in terms of space, I believe that one is Greek in its origin. And if you think about all the different words we could come up with astro, anything from astronaut to astrophysicist to we could go on and on. Point being that if you teach students these combination of root words and their base meaning, it can be a multiplier in learning a bunch of words and getting quick application. Simple concept. So we're going to have you study that root word list. Think about application for your own subject area. Also provided in the module resources this week is an attempt by the Marzano Learning Lab to create a sort of key core master list of essential vocabulary words in every content area, secondary level. So you'll see in that document, you'll see even elementary too. You'll see math, English, science, social studies, and you'll see some technical subject areas. For this week, what I want you to do is look at that Marzano list, find your subject area, whether you're math, social studies, whatever it is, and want you to pick one list. You don't have to evaluate them all. You just pick one. If you're social studies, you can pick 7th grade social studies, what have you. If you're science, pick one of the science areas. Evaluate that list. It'll be approximately 50 words, and just evaluate the list if they got it right. What's good about the list? Are there any words that are missing? What would you add that's missing? And then both of these activities, looking at this root word list and looking at this Marzano key vocabulary list in a content area, you're simply going to post in our discussion section this week. Simply your evaluation, analysis, and reactions. You do not need to respond to anyone this week or to me. Given the short week with Easter, we'll just do this work. You've got to complete and finish lesson plan number 2 on vocabulary development. Obviously, with that, I'm hoping to see something related to some of these vocabulary approaches we have emphasized in the last 4 weeks embedded in that lesson plan, whether it's you picked a core list of words, you're using some of the Marzano strategies, even if it's not all of them, some other things you may have read in the course text related to vocabulary development. We'll be looking for that in the lesson plan. That's due on the 27th. And then you're just going to post in the discussion about your analysis and views on the root word list and the Marzano list. And you're only picking one list in that Marzano piece to look at and evaluate. So we hope you have a great Easter, and it's an opportunity to celebrate what at the end of the day, what being a Christian believer and what an organization like Bethel University is all about, and that is the belief that that Jesus once rose from the dead, proving that he is in fact the Son of God and the fulfillment of multiple Jewish prophecies from the Old Testament. And it separates all of the religions on the earth, because this one is basically based on an act of human history that we as Christians believe. And we believe that the apostles saw it, many others saw it, and that it was an actual event of human history that catapults the faith that we understand to be Christianity. So we hope that's a time of reflection and family and remembrance of Jesus' sacrifices at the crucifixion for us. So thank you. I've enjoyed the course so far. After that mini Easter break in this short week, Module 11, we will finish off the course with writing instruction, and we'll be looking at some aspects of writing instruction that hope you can also apply to your content area. And then, of course, we'll conclude the course with not only you'll be sharing a presentation or paper with me on that literacy book that you chose at the beginning of the semester, and then there will be an essay version end of course exam, but it will be an essay, and you'll have some options on what things you're writing about, and it's just a review of the major themes in the course. Anyway, thank you again. Contact me if you have any questions, and again, happy Easter.